Hiya, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go do a podcast?
Sure.
Jump in.
Ladies and gentlemen, Boxtrolls and buttons, missing links of all ages and everyone else. Welcome to Binging Barbie. I'm your host, John, and with me I have my co-host, Jay. The Boxtrolls kidnapped me and slurped up my intestines like noodles. Would you give up your cheese to save me?
Um, yes, John.
Oh, how kind. Anyway, this is a podcast about toy media franchises, 2000s nostalgia, and whatever else we want to talk about. And this week we are here to talk about Laika's third film, The Boxtrolls. Yes.
Yeah. Had you seen this one before?
No. Like, pretty much after Paranorman, I have no history with Laika. Like, I
Okay.
maybe would have seen their trailers, like, in the theaters, but none of them interest me enough to recall them at all, so...
Okay. Yeah. I had seen this one relatively recently, actually, and I didn't go in with any expectations. I don't even remember why I was watching it, besides that it was just like available on Netflix or something,
Mm-hmm.
and was pleasantly surprised by it. I don't know. We'll get into our thoughts. But yeah, this was released September 26, 2014, directed by Graham Anabel and Anthony Stocky. Anabel started out as an animator for LucasArts, the video games company, and has done storyboards for most of Laika's other films, as well as Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Hmm.
And then Stocky started out doing visual effects work for ILM on some of the Back to the Future sequels and The Rocketeer, Ghost, Hook, a whole bunch of stuff. Did storyboards for one of my favorite animated shows, Eon Flux, and then co-directed Open Season, the CG animated.
Yeah, that film. That wild fever dream, yeah.
Yeah, this is written by Irina Brignall and Adam Pava. It's based on the book Here Be Monsters by Alan Snow, which I was hoping to read it before this podcast or like listen to the audiobook, but there actually isn't an audiobook available. So unfortunately I didn't get around to that, since I thought of it last night and I wasn't going to be able to read it's like 500 pages. I think it's relatively short though, because there's a lot of illustrations.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, Brignall also wrote the 2015 Little Prince adaptation that I kind of hate. And Pava wrote for Clone High, Johnny Bravo, and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
I see.
Yeah, and we have music by Dario Marianelli, who we actually talked about him quite a while back on the Bumblebee episode. He did the score for Bumblebee.
Ooh, okay. Well, why don't we get into the story of this little thing here? So, every night, the citizens of Victorian area city of Cheesebridge hide in their homes to avoid mischievous nocturnal creatures known as Boxtrolls. The city's head exterminator, Archibald Snatcher, has convinced everyone that the Boxtrolls are vicious beasts who killed and ate a man named Trubshaw, and his baby. In truth, the Boxtrolls are harmless scavengers, and among their ranks is Eggs, a young boy adopted by the Boxtroll Fish. While out looking through trash one night, Fish is captured by Snatcher's goons, and Eggs decides to dress up as a human and find Fish. And Eggs finds Snatcher's hideout, where he is keeping not only Fish, but also all the other box trolls he has kidnapped over the years. Snatcher also reveals that Eggs is really the Trubshaw baby. He and Fish narrowly escape. And Eggs tries to warn the box trolls of Snatcher's plans, but is unable to convince them to go against their nature. And Snatcher shows up, piloting a machine designed by the box trolls and his captivity. In his captivity. And he takes them all, including Eggs, to his lair. And Eggs wakes up in a cage next to his father, who has gone raving mad after being kept in captivity for 10 years, hanging upside down. and Eggs tries to warn them to escape, but they seemingly do not listen and get crushed. Snatcher dresses Eggs up like a Boxtroll and brings him to the center of Cheesebridge to perform a public execution. He demands that Lord Portly Rhine hand over his hat, a symbol of his authority. And the Boxtrolls show up to save Eggs along with his father, and it turns out that they had left their boxes and hadn't been crushed after all. The citizens of Cheesebridge see that the Boxtrolls are not as a threat, and in the last desperate act, Snatcher kidnaps Lord Portly Rhine's daughter and demands to eat cheese with the town's leaders. But Snatcher's cheese allergy causes him to bloat up and explode like Monty Python, The Meaning of Life. Anyway, sometime later, the citizens of Cheesebridge and the Boxtrolls gather to celebrate, and all is happy in the world. For now.
Yeah. So I have one thing to say.
Cheese, 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 cheese.
I was actually thinking about that during the film. It's like, cheese. They're doing it all for some cheese. Yeah.
How do you feel about cheese? Like on a
I,
scale of like hate it to would buy it instead of funding a children's hospital, where do you fall?
I'd put it like a 3. I don't really like cheese. I think it
Okay.
works as an ingredient for like pizza or like put it on your burger or something like that. But anything else, I don't really care to eat cheese. I don't like cheese. I don't like the taste of it. I don't like the smell of it. It's just not my thing. There's
I
this
am
whole I have a whole weird history with cheese. You know, as a kid, or as a child, I had no problem with cheese. So it was fine. I'd ate it. But then just one day, like there was this cheese in my burger, and as a kid, one day like something clicked. I'm like, you know what? I don't like cheese now. So for the next so many years, I didn't eat cheese. Like I like peel the cheese off of my pizza, just eat it, the bread and sauce, um, until I don't know. I got out of that habit slowly, to like just eating the cheese on the pizza and then like getting the cheese on the burger. Took a really long time, really long time. So, yeah,
yeah, I have kind of the opposite where as a kid I didn't like cheese to the extent that like I would ask for if I got a burger at McDonald's, I would ask for it without cheese,
yeah.
which where we were growing up was quite the to do. We often had
Oh,
to go back and they did not necessarily take custom orders super well at the local McDonald's. Um,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, eventually I started to enjoy, and like I would have it on pizza and that kind of stuff. But I don't know when it was, but I did eventually switch to like a switch flipped in my head or something, and now I love cheese so much. Like when I started the movie, I had forgotten how important cheese was. So I paused it during the first scene and was like, oh, I should get some cheese out. So I had some cheese, some Gouda and cheddar as I was watching the film.
Mm.
Yeah, I love cheese. Maybe not to the extent in this movie though. Yeah, I was like, oh, if the box trolls are coming to steal my cheese, then I would be concerned. It's my Gouda, my smoked Gouda, best cheese out there.
Yeah.
Not that I've tried every cheese, but
It's like Wallace and Gromit. They need their cheese. They need their Wensleydale.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, this is an interesting movie. I'm curious to get your thoughts here going in as someone who is experiencing this fresh.
Okay. What? Okay. What thoughts do you want? Like, where do we want to go with this?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Just in general, did you enjoy?
I I watched it casually. Um, I thought that a lot of the narrative is stuff that I'd seen a lot. and other things. It's like the thing that the child raised by the thing that people despise, but they're actually good. In my mind just went straight to Tarzan a lot because that's the most immediate thing I could think of. Um, there were a lot of like kids animated films in 2000s that are obscure but have like similar plot stuff of like these ugly things are not what they seem or something. And then there's that evil
Yeah.
snatcher dude, which just reminded me of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the child snatcher,
Oh, okay.
Mr.
I have
Tiddlywinky.
not
Yeah.
seen that in many, many years, but I did watch that as a kid, so I have certain things in my head from that.
Children. Yeah. Yeah.
I actually weirdly don't remember that part. I remember the Toot Sweets and the flying car, and
Yeah.
like there's like a wind up performance that they somehow get involved. I don't remember. I'll have to watch that at some point
Watch it
again.
again. Just watch it again. Yeah. Just a fun 3 hours.
Of course, it's 3 hours. Why wouldn't it be? It's a
Yeah.
kids movie from the
I, I I
60s.
I
Oh,
love the music from that musical. It's great.
yeah. I imagine it's a very odd film.
We're talking about a flying car, so.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think half the film is just the imagination of the kids. So the
Okay.
whole thing with a wind up, like the whole second half of the film is just like the kids' imagination. I don't think they actually went to a different country and did weird stuff with child snatchers, if my memory serves me correctly. They're just sleeping on the beach or something. I think that's the twist. Spoilers if you haven't watched that very old film.
uh, but no, I think you're right that the Box Trolls is kind of playing with familiar tropes and even like familiar to Laika. This has a lot of similar themes to Paranorman.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
approaching them differently. Like here, it's again challenging the preconceptions of who's the hero and who's the villain. But where
Right.
Paranorman, that's a twist at the end of the film. Here, it's like from the very start, we're aware that the Box Trolls are not actually the monsters they have been made out to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do in a similar way to Paranorman. The Box Trolls do sort of become this metaphor for the downtrodden, this oppressed group that must learn to sort of stand up for themselves. And yeah, yeah, it's it's that kind of movie.
Yeah.
I think it's very well done in that. Like it
Sure,
is using
yeah.
these tropes well and it is engaging with them in an interesting way. I like just the visuals of as eggs is growing up and the number of box trolls is dwindling, and we're watching this
Yeah.
because they all sleep in this big pile of boxes. We're watching the pile get smaller and smaller, and it's sort of posing this question as like, at what point have you lost enough to feel the need to do something about it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the thing that draws me into this though is the setting of Cheesebridge. Like it's just such an interesting setting, just like from a visual standpoint. Like this giant mountain thing in the middle of a field. But then this like all of the weird little things about it, like the obsession with cheese is just kind of a fun thing.
Sure. Yeah.
But then we also have like the hats, and we don't really get it laid out exactly what the different hats mean, but we do know that like the white hats are some sort of that's they're like the leaders of this town, and then the red hats are maybe a step beneath them. So we're getting this like class system that is showing up here in a way that I find interesting.
Kinda. Yeah.
And
Not fully explained or explored fully.
I think it's explored fully. I think they never spell out exactly what it means, which I actually kind of like because it is you understand it without them needing to say, "Oh, the white hats are the people who rule the city." I mean, they basically say that,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
yeah, there's some interesting class commentary going on there. And then yeah, we have this hatred and fear of the Boxtrolls as sort of this class underneath everything that has been misunderstood and propagandized into something they're not. Um, and Egg's kind of standing in contrast to that and being a bridge between the Boxtrolls and the humans society.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like revolutionary, but I do think it is pulling these things off in an interesting way. Like especially the first time around I watched it. When I was rewatching it, I was less invested in the story of it, but I was still enjoying seeing everything play out. We're
I
so
suppose.
there are a couple of twists here. Um kind of. I mean, Eggs being the Trubshaw baby is not really a twist.
No.
Like I think they kind of try and play it off as a twist, but not too much. I think the bigger twist is that his dad is still alive. Were you surprised by that moment?
No. I actually missed the line at the beginning where they said that he was dead.
Okay.
So because the song that was it Frou Frou sings,
Yeah,
Fruit Loop,
Madame Frou Frou.
Madame Frou Frou sings, um, uh, didn't mention that the dad died, but like went away or something. I don't know.
The song mentions that he was eaten to the bone by the
I
box trolls.
I thought that was just assumed, um,
Okay.
not actually true. So in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, the dad's probably alive somewhere. He's
Yeah.
just like a loner in his house. I wasn't expecting that he was like trapped by Snatcher and was actually building stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. I must have missed some context here, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting cuz I don't think the first time around I really caught on to that the father is still alive, but that's such a non like we never get the sense that Eggs is missing because Fish is like his parental figure. We don't get the sense that he's missing something. So I just wasn't really thinking of it until like the crazy guy hanging upside down shows up, and I'm like, oh, of course that's his dad.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how you feel about that. I think it's maybe a little too neat and tidy.
Um I don't particularly see the dad being too neat and tidy. It's like society immediately accepting the box trolls after they find out, oh, they're not so bad. That's the more neat and
Yeah,
tidy thing, because that's like the final minutes of the film, where it's like, ah, the dad. See, because like Egg's thing was never about like, oh, I want to find my father, or like, oh, I wish I had a father, and then conveniently, oh, it's father. I think that'd be more too neat and tidy, where he has that one desire, but because like he's oblivious to the fact that there is such a thing, and then he's finally revealed like, oh, hey, I guess there's a father. Okay. Sure.
I think specifically, I guess yeah. The thing for me is that it's just there aren't any consequence or like there's
Yeah.
what one
No.
character death in this movie, and it's the villain.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, presumably something happened to Eggs's mom at some point, but that's never brought up.
No.
So yeah, it just to me it was like that was maybe one thing too much. And then I think you're very much correct about the ending of the box trolls and the citizens living in harmony together. Like obviously
Yeah.
this is a kids movie, so it needs to have that happy ending, but it is very clean.
Yeah. Like there's no time to really just get into, like, if there was a sequel, I'm sure that they would go into like the tension between the two living close together, but um because like they don't really have the time. It's like, okay, we gotta like have happy ending now, so they live
Yeah.
in harmony together, like a classic Disney ending. you know which I
Yeah, it's
don't know if
interesting because
Disney has that type of story.
I mean, Frozen 2 has sort of similar,
I guess Frozen 2, sure, you
or
could
like
say that.
Strange Journey has a similarly neat and tidy ending that doesn't quite work. Though that's not really dealing with social oppression, that's dealing with other stuff.
Hmm.
Have you seen that one? This is completely tangent, but
No, I haven't seen any recent Disney films since Frozen 2 or Frozen.
okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I liked Strange Journey, but that is, it goes in odd directions and doesn't always work.
yeah.
But yeah, Boxtrolls. I think this is just a fun little adventure movie. Apparently it is quite different from the book. I think the book is, well, apparently there's like different species in the book, and I've just heard like very or like simple stuff about the book, but like in the book I don't think Eggs is a human. I think he's just a box troll, and there's a different protagonist character who's
Mm.
like actually been raised um by humans.
Okay. I wouldn't know anything about that, so.
Yeah, again, I wanted to read the book, but didn't end up having the time. So yeah, I think it's kind of the situation of similar to like How to Train Your Dragon, which I actually have read that
Oh,
book,
right.
and it
Yeah.
is extremely different from the movie, to the extent that like the movie is just sort of taking a couple of elements and the basic idea of what if Vikings and dragons, but then going in a very, very different direction with it all.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, here it's what if trolls with boxes, and then kind of spinning that off into this story.
Yeah.
Which yeah, I think this works.
Yeah. And a
I,
a dose of like child friendly racism, or speciesism.
yeah, yeah, it is. There is the sense of, and I think we'll get into that a bit when we talk about the characters, but there is that social oppression aspect to it. I think part of the reason I'm not feeling super passionate about this one is watching this directly after Paranorman, which Paranorman is also pretty tropey, but it feels a little bit more
Right.
exciting in how it's engaging with those tropes. Whereas this one, I think, is, again, I want to emphasize, because I feel like I'm not coming across as enthusiastic about it, but I do really enjoy this film. It's just there's something about this that what I was kind of thinking of as I was watching this is, because there's so many kids movies nowadays that are about social messages, which I think is a good thing, to be clear. I do sometimes miss the Coraline side of things, of what if it's a story about like, what if there's an individual message rather than a big social message.
Like a more personal message to the
Yeah.
character than like the
Yeah.
wider world. Yeah.
Yeah, cuz Eggs doesn't really have much of an arc here.
We'll talk about eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I find him an interesting character nonetheless, but yeah, there isn't a ton of personal growth on his side. Whereas even
Mm.
like Norman in Paranorman had growth. But yeah,
Mm,
I do what just to talk about what are the things that I really do like here. I love the morbid sense of humor.
sure.
Like it gets darker than a Disney movie would, or even like a DreamWorks movie. Like Leica is pushing the edges of what can qualify for a kids movie. Maybe less so than in Paranorman or Coraline, but it is still it's playing with those boundaries in a way
I
that
mean,
I find fun.
the villain with his, lactose intolerance, an allergy, you
Yeah.
know, that's really pushing it. I think.
Yeah. This is like, and we'll talk about it a bit in visuals, but this is like a gross movie,
Yeah.
but not in like, I'm not saying that in a negative way, but it's filled with sort of a lot of gross imagery that I don't tend to associate with kids movies, especially not like Disney. Disney's very clean and sanitized.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm not conveying as much enthusiasm as I want to convey. But I do like this film quite a bit, and I think it is worthwhile. So yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5 in terms of story.
I gave it a 3. Of like the three films, was not as engaged like with the story. Um like while I think it is done well enough, it just wasn't that interesting to me overall. Like I'd seen it done enough where I could like, okay, well here's how the story's gonna go, and so it's pretty much how it went. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think after watching it the first time, I would have strongly disagreed with that. But I think rewatching it, I started to see a little more of where it was not coming up short, but it didn't feel as special the second time around. And it might also just be context in which I was watching it. That again, directly after watching and talking about Paranorman and really loving that one and
I
being surprised by it.
mhm. I think probably the thing, because the story can work or not work. I think for me, what I wanted more out of was like out of our characters. So
Okay.
let's
Well,
go
yeah,
into eggs
we
here.
can yeah.
Yeah.
I think he first off, I love the name. That's literally just his name. And then all of the Boxtrolls have these names sort of based on what is on the box that they wear. Um, so he has a box of eggs, so his name is therefore eggs.
Sure. Yeah.
And like his visual design, like for most of the first half of the movie, he has like a bunch. His face is just covered in dirt, and yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
again, that's it's moving away from the cleaner aesthetic of the characters in yeah. Again, this is like I guess Paranorman kind of and Coraline do have those gross out moments, but this feels different in how it's approaching that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, what did you think of Eggs as the protagonist here?
I think I wanted a little more out of eggs. I think like he served the story, but I didn't really get much about like what his true desires are. He was just kind of going with the flow. Sure, he wants to do something about saving his family, but like I want more of like the smaller details of like things he might want or such. Um,
Yeah.
which maybe I just glossed over while watching, but I don't know. I didn't really get much out of his character here, which you probably got something more out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think there is like him being sort of between these two worlds, between the box trolls and the humans. I think creates an interesting character dynamic. I don't know if this is the most interesting exploration of like that sort of third culture kid mentality, but I do
Ah,
think there are those elements here.
sure.
I think, yeah. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong in that he's maybe not as interesting as he could have been. But I do also think that, like, there isn't necessarily a ton of space for that
Right.
kind of stuff either.
I mean, they could go down a more stereotypical route with this type of story where, like, why am I not like the others? Oh, there's something wrong with me, or there's something different. And then he finds the
Yeah.
people. It's like, that's more like the Tarzan route, um, which I'm fine they didn't go that route, but I wish that
Yeah.
they could have done something like, what if he had, like, a hobby that was just his own and, like, secret? And, he shares it with Winnie. It's like, hey, you're a human. Here's my hobby. Is this weird? Um, but
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
he's
I do think
he kind
yeah.
of like he's kind of like the same as the other Boxtrolls, except that he has the a talent of the I don't know the ability to do more like
Yeah,
stuff.
or he's like his nature is not the same as theirs even though he's been raised by them. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think there's like an element here of to invoke a trope that doesn't fully fit here, but kind of like skirts around the edge here of being a white savior movie. Um, which
sure.
if people aren't aware, that's the trope of like I guess Lawrence of Arabia actually happened, but then that gets brought into a whole bunch of other things of a character from one culture showing up in a different culture and saving them from some oppression. I think like I guess Last Samurai he doesn't really
Atlantis.
save them, but Atlantis, yeah.
Atlantis is one critique. I don't have an issue with that one as other people do, but I
Yeah.
can see he comes in and reminds them of their own culture, which is a little
Yeah.
odd, but you know,
Yeah, it's often framed as like, oh, this culture doesn't have the tools to save themselves, so they need someone else to come in. And I mean, again, there is like, it really depends on a case by case basis. And I
right?
think here, since Eggs is raised by the box trolls, like there's less of that here than in like Avatar. That's maybe one of the most obvious examples of the trope. Um, but yeah, it can kind of feel like if done poorly, there's like it can go very bad in terms of how it depicts whatever culture is being quote unquote saved.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
here I think there's just like a little bit of ambiguity of what like the box trolls sort of seem to have this natural predilection towards um hiding instead of fighting back
Mm-hmm.
or being proactive, and that Eggs is kind of able to break them out of that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's tried to do with that. I do like
Um.
the fish out of water stuff with Eggs.
Sure. Yeah.
Like it's cute and it's just one scene.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I was a little confused about at first is like how he could speak English normally,
Yeah.
because he starts having normal conversations with Winnie, and it's like, wait, what? He learns English? When did he learn? When did he do that? Do the box trolls speak English? What? Do they have a book? What?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense logically.
No.
I do think it does like save us the scenes of him having to learn English,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't mind that we don't have that because that's something that other films have done. I do like part of me is like, okay, so they needed him to be speaking English for the early scenes so we can kind of more have a way to understand the box trolls. But I do kind of wish that those early scenes with the Boxtrolls where he's just interacting with them, because you get so much out of the visuals. You don't need him speaking English.
You could have like a small scene where he's watching humans, or you know,
Yeah.
like, okay, so he sneaks around a schoolhouse and they're like learning their ABCs, and he's like watching from the window or something.
No,
Um,
I do think that does get a little too close to like the Little Mermaid thing of
I'm
him
sure.
wanting to be a part of human society, versus here it's like he doesn't seem to have that desire, which I like. But yeah,
Do we
then
need an explanation of how he learned English? No, but it
no,
helps with the world building a little bit.
yeah, yeah, and I do like I do kind of wish that, because that those scenes of eggs and fish when eggs is a baby and they're just like connecting, and they don't
Mhm.
have to be able to speak English for the audience to understand what's going on. I think that stuff works so well that I'm like, I kind of would want to see a version of this where he's speaking the troll language.
Or very broken
Or
English.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, because
For just a
the trolls can like read the box names
yeah.
and such, so
Yeah,
they
and I guess
can
the
speak English
yeah.
if they know the words.
I guess it is because they do speak like certain, so I guess the implication is that like the troll language is just English but spoken with whatever physiology the trolls have. So then Egg speaking in English is, like he says, it's a speech impediment,
I
where he
guess.
can't speak like the trolls because he has different vocal cords than the trolls, but he
Mhm.
is speaking the same language as them and the trolls just speak English. Maybe that's what they're going for.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't need an explanation for why he speaks English. I do. Part of me wishes that he hadn't been speaking English, even if he just like isn't speaking at all for the first little bit until he meets Winnie.
Yeah, I yeah, but it's annoying to write characters and you're trying to have like important dialogue. It's like, okay, well, we
Yeah,
want to have
yeah,
like interactive conversations. We need them both speaking
yeah,
on a similar level. So I feel like they probably just didn't want to deal with that hassle, or maybe like the characters just spoke English in the book and that didn't matter.
yeah.
Yeah.
uh, oh yeah, we also have Winnie here,
Huh.
who I love how morbid she is. Like she's just so obsessed with violence and death. In this, like she's kind of afraid, but she's also kind of excited by it, and like
Uh-huh.
feels very accurate to how some kids can be about that stuff.
Yeah, it was, you know, it was interesting. Like every time Winnie was like in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Winnie might secretly be a masochist because she gets excited every time. She's like, "Oh, the box trolls, they're gonna like eat my bones and such," and she's excited when she says that, and then she's very disappointed when they're not that. Um, so I don't know. There were like some minor little red flags there. It's like, Winnie, what's going on here? But yeah, it's the morbid comedy, which
Yeah.
yeah, you know, I think I had a morbid face at one point.
I feel like that's not uncommon for some kids.
Right.
Like I feel like it can manifest in a bunch of different ways. Like for me it was stuff like being obsessed with the Titanic and with shipwrecks and reading about those and thinking and
Yeah.
imagining. um
Yeah. Sure.
but yeah, no, I like her connection with eggs. Like
Hmm.
they have these little hints of romance, but they feel very well integrated. Like it never felt to me like the story was trying to push them together because they're a boy and a girl. It felt like there is something genuinely there.
I never felt any romance between the two of them.
Okay. I thought when they're dancing together, that scene
Uh,
had
sure, maybe, but, and everywhere else is just kind of normal. stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's a fun character overall. She unfortunately doesn't have a ton to do directly in the narrative. Like, I mentioned her once in the plot summary,
Yeah.
which initially when I wrote it out, I had walked through her different appearances throughout the story, but that as I was trying to make the plot summary a little less lengthy, I was like, you don't really need the stuff she does isn't as directly important to the plot, unfortunately. I do feel like she does still play an important role in the story, and it doesn't quite feel like Corpse Bride, where the love interest character is just entirely useless at any time she tries to do anything. The movie's like, no, you can't do that. That would mess up our story.
Yeah. Her big thing is being neglected by her father all the time.
Yeah,
And I guess her mother as well. The mother's here.
yeah, she's very much in the background.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, part of me wonders, and the film is kind of a two-hander between Winnie and Eggs, though Eggs definitely is the protagonist here. I do wonder
Sure.
if you swap that balance a little bit, if you focus a little bit more on Winnie and her arc, because she does have a little bit more of an arc here of learning who the Boxtrolls really are and coming to be like, oh, we need to actually do something about this.
Yeah. It's a really short arc, but it is an
Yeah,
arc of
yeah.
sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than we really get with Eggs, because Eggs by like minute 10 has decided that he's going to do something about what is happening to the Boxtrolls.
Yeah.
Whereas when he gets like, you get to like minute 40 and she's still growing a little bit. Oh. But yeah, Fish. This
Fish.
is Eggs' adoptive father, sort of his closest connection to the other Boxtrolls. The only Boxtroll that is given much focus.
Yeah. Most of the focus is on Fish. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like his connection with Eggs. I like the early scenes of him raising Eggs and the care that is being put into raising him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that's really cute stuff. I do think the farther into the film we get, the less Fish is a focus of things, and we don't really get, I guess, because Fish does have a bit of an arc of learning to be proactive, and like he's the one who convinces all of the other Boxtrolls to leave their boxes so they don't get crushed. I think since that's handled as a twist rather than us getting to see that happen in real time, we don't really get a sense for Fish's arc though.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I think weirdly the most complex character in the movie is Snatcher.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, because he is this horrible person who is willing to do horrible things, but he does those horrible things out of this genuine sense of disenfranchisement. Like, he will never be a white hat. Even if he gets the
Mm-hmm.
hat, he will still always be perceived as lesser than by the people whose respect he wants. So he's going to these like very extreme lengths to try and manufacture that status for himself.
Yeah. Also blinded by this thing. Like he has a clear cheese
Yeah.
allergy, but like chooses to ignore it.
Yeah, it's sort of a almost works metaphorically as like in this city that is entirely centered around cheese, he will just never, because of his status within society, he will never be able to reach that level. And yeah, we'll talk about it a bit more when we get down to Lord Portleyrine, but there is a sense of like Snatcher is not like he is the villain of the story here and he does horrible things here.
Hmm.
The problems in Cheesebridge go a lot deeper than Snatcher. He's a
Yeah.
symptom of the problem rather than the problem itself. I will be honest though, I do have mixed feelings on the drag stuff. Because of course he dresses up as Madame Frou Frou, who is this beloved figure within the town. Um, I do think there are some funny moments with this, and like there is also a sense of like this is something that Laika can do that like Disney, their recent Lilo and Stitch live action remake, they got rid of um the alien who
Yeah.
dressed in women's clothes no longer does that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, Disney tried to capitulate to the tastes of broader and broader audiences at the expense of the things that make their work interesting. But yeah, no, I do like that this is here. I don't like that this is treated as further evidence of Snatcher's quote unquote deviance. Like him doing drag isn't shown as like a neutral thing. We're supposed to think worse of him for him doing drag. And yeah, it just like that, and also like the way the film handles the other men's attraction to Madame Frou Frou and how disgusted they are upon the reveal. Like it just adheres to this narrative that exists, this very incorrect narrative that paints drag artists as manipulative and trying to trick people. Whereas drag is actually about entertaining people, and there isn't that the tricking isn't supposed to be a part of that, and it's not supposed to be this manipulative evil thing. So yeah, I again I'm of two minds about this. I like the comedy of it, but I do think there is a sense of this is playing into a certain narrative that feels very out of character for a Laika film,
Hmm.
because Paranorman is so careful about, or I guess maybe not careful, but is like such a queer narrative that
Hmm.
to then have Laika to the Boxtrolls and be like, oh, the we're getting this queer coding of this character, but it is being used to paint the character as a villain. Yeah, it feels like Disney, like classic or Renaissance era Disney type stuff
Hmm.
rather than 2014 Leica
To
stuff.
give the benefit of the doubt, it is possible that they massively overlooked how that thing worked out in the
Yeah,
end.
that's fair. I think that is definitely, but it is like to me, and yeah, those narratives didn't exist to this same extent in 2014. That's
Hmm.
been something even just in the last 5 years that has changed very dramatically. But yeah, it is still like there is part of me that is still very disappointed in that. Like it feels more like Disney, and I guess there's more things going on there, but like Ursula being based on the drag queen Divine, and those aspects of her being used to bolster her portrayal as villainous. But yeah, anyway, that's a big discussion that is perhaps outside the scope of what we're focusing on today. Lord
Hmm.
Portleyrine,
Yeah, this guy.
like Snatcher may be like the villain of the story, but Lord Portly is the system that lets that villain exist in the first place.
Yeah.
Like he is very much the gatekeeper for this ruling class that is keeping quote unquote undesirables out. So keeping out Snatcher, which like Snatcher shouldn't be in charge of the city, but you get the sense that like Snatcher isn't the only one who is being blocked out of that higher status. And yeah,
Mhm.
meanwhile, like he and the white hats are completely ignoring the actual issues facing the people.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I know that we need to build like a new children's hospital or something, but hey, check out this giant like ball of cheese that we bought
It's
instead.
worse than that. It's worse than that. They planned this gala to celebrate that they had raised the funds to build the children's hospital, but instead they decided to buy a giant wheel of cheese with the money that was supposed to go for the children's hospital.
Yeah, yeah. Also, their paperwork has been like sitting there for months. It's like, ah, we
Yeah.
got this paperwork here. Oh yeah, cheese. Let me ignore the paperwork for now.
Yeah, and like Lord Portly has this moment when we see him in that first meeting scene of he's like, oh, he's trying to bring up, oh, the schools and this and that and the other thing, but then it doesn't take that much to get him to just sit down and focus on the cheese.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is this just like very like it's a funny metaphor, but it isn't that far off from reality in terms of
Yeah.
how the ruling class could often ignore actual issues and instead focus on their own gain.
The ending. How do you feel about the ending?
I mean, he gets off way too easy. Like
Yeah.
things have gotten better, but the root causes haven't actually been addressed.
No.
Like, yeah, there again, I kind of and maybe this is just I mean, we have different writers here than we had for Paranorman because Paranorman was so smart about how it approached things and created a story that clearly had been thought out very deeply in how it was approaching the social issues it was hinting at. Whereas here, yeah, we like Lord Portly at the end of the movie is still, as far as we are aware, in charge of the city, and we aren't led to believe that the council has become more equitable or
Hmm.
that they have found a way of ruling the people that is actually going to be beneficial for the people.
So, thinking about like who wrote this and thinking about like, okay, they wrote for like a lot of like classic Cartoon Network children's cartoons, um and in those, like, there's a lot of like comedy like that, but they never get addressed because they're just there for comedy. So maybe that was their way of thinking. It's like, okay, we do this a lot and there's other stuff, so we're gonna do that here, make it a little bit more edgy, but then we don't address it because that's not what we're here to do. We're here to do
Yeah.
the comedy.
Yeah, it's about the Boxtrolls, not about Cheesebridge as a city.
Right.
So the Boxtrolls being recognized, even though like they have not solved the problems. They have not solved the problems that led the Boxtrolls to be oppressed. They have just created a society in which the Boxtrolls are no longer oppressed.
Hmm.
But that society still has those issues that could very easily crop up later down the road. And yeah, it makes the ending feel a little bit false in its happy endingness. I think it works like for the story as it's presented, but as you're walking out of the theater and thinking about things, where Paranorman you walk out of that one and you think about it and you're like, oh, there's so much interesting and go things going on and it's deep and well thought out. Whereas here you walk out and you're like, oh, they maybe didn't think all of this through the way that they did. Or even like Coraline. Coraline has so much depth. where here we're not seeing that to the same degree.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I do just love the first scene of this film, where it's Snatcher showing up, knocking on the door, desperate. The children, they're in danger. The Boxtrolls, and Lord Portleroy's like, "Oh no, this is terrible. We'll deal with this in the morning." And
Yeah.
Snatcher goes, "But what about your cheese?" And Lord Portleroy's, "We have to solve this problem immediately."
Yeah. Yeah. Fun.
Yeah. Last sort of character of note here is Trubshaw.
Shropshaw.
Yeah. He's we don't get much of a sense for him because most of what we see of him is that he's completely insane,
Yeah.
that he likes jelly, and that's about it.
Yeah. That's
I,
it.
I
Yeah.
think it's I think it's cool that he had that like connection with the box trolls that let him like trust them enough to raise his kid.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, that's there isn't a whole lot to his character here. Maybe
No.
that's part of why I'm not excited that he shows up at the end. Doesn't feel like there's any depth to be explored there.
Well, there's not much stuff in his brain anymore, so you know.
Though he seems to have recovered by the time we see him at the end.
Yeah,
That
I guess.
he's kind of
Kinda.
but yeah. Oh, I guess we didn't talk about Snatcher's goons,
Mm.
who they have the running joke throughout the movie of wondering, or at the beginning of the movie they're like, well, we're the good guys, so obviously what we are doing is good and the box trolls are evil. But that as the movie goes on they start questioning, and certain actions they are like, hey, this is we're kidnapping a kid and going to execute him in front of the town. Is this maybe not what good guys do?
We're executing justice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that mean yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They were like your typical Aardman goon characters.
okay.
Down to the
Yeah.
mannerisms and accent. It's like, they're like the uh, whatever villains you saw the Armin used to make. So yeah, those were fun.
Yeah, it reminded me of the famous meme, which was I don't even remember what show it was from, but the "Are We the Baddies,"
Yeah.
which is such a fun, like funny little sketch.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm looking it up and it's not showing on YouTube what the show is. But yeah, I'm sure people are aware of
Oh yeah,
the guy
we,
dressed
we
in.
we've definitely heard like the audio clip of it somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Are we the baddies? I should have clipped out that audio clip. That is like a trope that I find really fun, of the bad guy characters questioning their own morality, and then actually that does become somewhat plot relevant when Winnie is able to convince two of them not to execute eggs. Then the other
Mm.
one seems to have some kind of bloodlust and goes for it anyway.
Leeches, yeah.
Yes, the leech. We'll talk about the leeches when we get into how gross this movie
Leeches.
is. Yeah. You know, I initially gave the characters here a 4 out of 5. I think I'm going to drop that down to a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, and I gave the characters a 3.
Yeah. I think, again, there's Coraline and Paranorman are so deep in
Yeah.
how they're engaging with these characters. Whereas Box Trolls, I mean, it's still good, but we're starting to get into like typical animated movie depth
Mhm.
rather than the depth that made their first two films so interesting and engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, visuals. Like Okay, so my dad walked in. He was at some event and then came back home while I was watching this, and he was like, "Oh, is this a CG movie that is being made to look stop motion?" I was like, "No, this is stop motion." He's like, "No, that's not. That can't be." I was like, "No, it is. It is like so smooth that it looks like it should be CG, but it's actually stop motion. That they have put in so much effort, and yeah, it's just it looks phenomenal."
Mm, yeah. I So watching this, I figured out why I didn't really pay too much attention to Laika after Paranorman. I don't know if I like the Laika typical character design aesthetic. I like
Okay,
Coraline. I like the way Coraline looks, but like since Paranorman, they have like this like design choice that I don't particularly love about it. So
do you have a sense for what that specifically is, or
I don't know. It could be their new 3D printing technology that they've been doing. Um,
okay,
it could. I don't know. It's just something about the way they design their characters. It's just
okay,
it's not my. It doesn't appeal to me.
yeah, yeah, that's interesting because I I do appreciate. I think it is worth noting that like Coraline was also 3D printed, but those faces were hand painted. Whereas
Yeah.
I assume at least some of the faces here are being hand painted, but they are 3D printing in full color, so it makes things easier for animating and designing things and being a little bit looser with able to improvise a little bit more as much as you can improvise in stop motion. But
Hmm.
yeah, I can kind of see what you're saying here. But even just like I mean again, the it's so smooth.
It is.
The
Yeah.
visuals are just yeah. It's so impressive. I love the designs here. Like Cheesebridge itself just looks so cool. Anytime they cut out to that like big wide view of the whole city, it just looks so interesting as a
Mm.
location. And the various locations within that, the streets are all after like Paranorman. I don't find the suburban small town East Coast stuff in Paranorman super visually interesting compared to this where we're getting these Victorian streets and like the verticality of everything.
Hmm.
I really like that. The troll dead as well is just very charming. Like you can tell they put a lot of work into what are the different mechanisms here, how do they all work, and that sort of Aardman way of all of the machinery, the Rube Goldberg machines that they use in those. Yeah, like the character designs, I think like one of the things I appreciated is that like Winnie is designed to be slightly chubbier, and it's never commented on or brought up. Um, obviously, like not she's still very thin,
Hmm.
but no, there is like they are paying attention a bit to presenting more different kinds of people.
Yeah. Boy, the oh boy, uh, Lord Portly Ryan, like his diet must not be very good at all. Like I can just imagine the constipation he must have from just eating
Yeah,
cheese all day. Like, oh, it's not good down there.
and that's a good way to transition into like just how gross this thing is. Like there are
Mm.
bugs, there are leeches, there's like the weird discoloration on Snatcher's face. Like
Yeah.
even before he starts bloating for the cheese, he just has like these streaks of like green and yellow that look very sickly. Um
Hmm.
yeah, and then like that he literally explodes. And
What a
and
wild
after
way
that
to do
when
with
he
your
is
villain.
explaining hers, yeah, no, it is insane that they did that. um
Mm.
it's the classic thing of like the villain is their own downfall, but it is done in like this isn't Gaston falling off a cliff into an endless abyss that you never see. I mean, obviously you don't see him actually exploding, but it is gruesome,
It's like
even though you
uh,
don't see it.
it's like the villain from Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Um, that was yeah. I won't say what happens, but like it is his own downfall and quite like
Yes.
sudden and funny as well. Yeah.
I think it's like a lot of the Indiana Jones movies also do this, where
Uh
it's like,
yeah.
and this is like very different in how it's approaching it, but there is that like, even though they aren't showing it, there is that gruesomeness to it.
They're the stuff that makes them bad is their downfall in the end when
Yeah,
going
yeah.
up against the divine elements that they're trying to achieve. Yeah.
No, I will be honest. I am so Laika is not like, they don't play coy about this, but especially I think post Coraline, they start using more CG elements in their movies, and it's mainly for things
Yeah.
like set extensions and that kind of stuff. I am starting to see it a bit more here. Like, one of the things I love about this film is how big the sets look, but in the back of my mind, I am very much aware that like there's like the reason they're able to do that is that they are doing these CG extensions and bringing in those CG elements.
Yeah,
And
there was a part in the beginning of the film where like their car drives by and the car is like giving off smoke, and during a scene, the smoke in the background is like dissipating and going up, and I kept staring at that smoke and I'm like, how do they animate the smoke in stop motion? How do you achieve that? Because it doesn't quite look
yeah,
tangible. It looks like hmm. So yeah, that probably makes
and
sense.
I don't know for sure, but I think some of the so for Coraline, I actually know this about Coraline because I watched the behind the scenes stuff. Um, the the fog in Coraline, like when they're exploring and looking for slugs, that is they actually filmed a fog machine and were
Mm.
able to like take that fog and like get the characters to they were making the fog move like in live action and then putting animating the characters into that. So it is real fog that they are using and compositing in, and there's
Must
probably a little bit of more going, but it looks so good. And here they
must have been
have one
expensive.
scene. Yeah, no, no, it's incredibly complicated and expensive. Here they actually do have one scene like after the boiler on the machine gets extinguished, and Lord Portly Rind like stands up. It looked to me like they were doing the same technique for the fog there, but all of the other like smoke and dust and water and fire, to me, looked like it was being done with CG. Maybe it wasn't. Again, I didn't watch the behind the scenes, and I don't know if they would have gone into that in the behind the scenes. Um, and yeah, that's the kind of stuff. Like some of the water, I think when it's just like water that is flowing, or like when they're underground and it's flowing through the sewer, I think that might be like actual stop motion that they figured out a way to do it there. But when it's like flowing and exploding and going all over the place, I'm like, is that CG? That feels like something they might have CG'd rather than doing something else. And again, holding two things at once. Stop motion is incredibly difficult to do and incredibly difficult to do quickly. And things like smoke or fire or water are like small elements
Mhm.
that aren't super important in this film. So that's an easy thing to go, okay, well, they'll save themselves like 3, 4, 5 months of work and potentially millions of dollars by just doing CG. But there is also like the side of me that's like, at what point are you no longer making a stop motion film? Because part of the point of stop motion is the tangibility of it all.
Mhm.
So even with the set extensions, yeah, there's part of me that's just a little bit disappointed by that. But yeah, I'm not gonna dock any points for this movie, at least for now. Um, I am going to be keeping that in the back of my mind going forward. Of
Mm-hmm.
as we're seeing, because it makes it less impressive to me. That like, and again, the animation here is so phenomenal, and what they are doing with the stop motion elements is really, really impressive. But it's just a little bit less impressive if it's like, well, yeah, it's mostly stop motion, but then some of the backgrounds are CG, and maybe some of the
Sure.
elements in the foreground are CG. And then yeah, again, where's the line? Where does it stop?
Yeah. I didn't really notice anything like that, but outside of the smoke of that one scene where it's like, how do you achieve that in stop motion? But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And again, I don't, besides the set extensions, I don't know how much CG there is in this film. I may just need to like watch all of the Kupo behind the scenes stuff before we do that episode just to get a better sense for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Kubo is the one that sort of stuff started to enter the popular consciousness a little bit more, and people started questioning if Laika's approach is the best approach. Again,
Mm.
I love Laika, so but yeah, there is part of me that's like, oh, there's just a little bit of disappointment there. But I am gonna give this a 5 out of 5 because it looks good and the stop
Yeah.
motion is impressive.
Yeah. I also give it a 5 out of 5. Even though I might not be the biggest fan of Laika's overall character design aesthetic, I do think like the work put into it is like really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now on to performances. We have Isaac Hempstead Wright as Eggs. Do you know who this actor is?
No, not by name.
He's Bran from Game of Thrones.
Ah, okay.
Bran Stark, the character who ends up being in charge of everything by the end of the I that his and yeah, we don't have time for Game of
The
Thrones talk.
three-eyed raven. Yeah.
I really like his performance in this film. Like I'm a little bit biased because we were born in the same month, so yeah. But like I've always enjoyed him as an actor
Sure.
because of that. But also I do think he is like really good. Like he has so many perfectly timed voice cracks that really sell the emotion of his performance. Like it feels so genuine. And yeah, he's like probably 13 or 14 when he's making this. So
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
was I thought he did a really good job making Eggs feel like a genuine character.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also have Elle Fanning, who has become a pretty popular actress since then. She had worked quite a bit before this as well, doing voice acting as well. She was the voice of one of the younger sister in My Neighbor Totoro in the Disney dub, which
Yeah.
that is like her and her sister were the two sisters for that, her and Dakota Fanning, and they
Mm-hmm.
recorded their lines together in the same studio. And watching like the behind the scenes footage is just so adorable.
Yeah.
But yeah, Elle Fanning, she's always a joy to hear. She's one of those actresses that like I've been aware of since Maleficent as like a talent to watch. And then as she's gotten bigger and more popular, um, I've been like, oh, I feel justified in my following her of her career. I don't know. That sentence didn't make sense. I guess I think I was even like because she was in Super 8, which I didn't see, but I saw the trailer for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought she was good in
But yeah,
Super 8.
yeah, she's been around for a while, but especially recently, I think she just got like a SAG nomination for A
Hmm.
Complete Unknown. And I mean, she's in so many major films, and like she's been nominated for some Golden Globes and maybe even one for The Great. So yeah, I'm always excited to see when Elle Fanning is in something. Oh, she's in the new Predator movie. She's
Ooh.
playing the robot.
Okay. I don't know who that
Yeah.
is, but we'll see. I'll
Have you
see.
seen the trailer?
Uh, I think so, or maybe I
Okay.
avoided it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I'll
won't
see
I
it when
won't
I
get
see
into
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for that one. Anyway, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Also, Ben Kingsley as Archibald Snatcher.
Yeah.
The way he stretches out certain words, it's so ominous and so creepy, and oh,
Hmm.
it's perfect. Perfect for this role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his performance here. I thought he knocked
Really
it out
good.
of the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah. Really well done.
Yeah, we have D. Bradley Baker as Fish and several of
Yeah.
the other Boxtrolls. That's who you
Yeah.
get for this kind of role.
Yeah, there were a couple like voice actors to when I was looking at the cast list. It's like, oh, I'm guessing these were all like different troll voices, because like you also have Steve Bloom and Fred Tatasciore, who are like very prolific voice actors, and I'm like, yeah, you get them to do these type of noises. Fred Tatasciore, um, plays the Hulk in a lot of animated stuff, and so he does like a lot
Okay.
of like yelling and screaming, um, and Steve Bloom. I mean, come on. Steve Bloom. Like, if you don't know who Steve Bloom is, then you probably don't watch a lot of anime or or just cartoons in general. But yeah, D. Bradley Baker. Just if you need like any noises, you go to him. He's the guy to do
Yeah.
that. And then
I'm looking forward to. He's of course Perry the platypus from Phineas and Ferb, and the day we are recording this is the day that the new season is available on Disney Plus. So I am very excited to see that.
yes, another name that you haven't listed here is Maurice LaMarche, another popular voice actor who's like one of the he's playing one of the White Hats. So
Oh, okay, yeah,
a lot of like voice actors that do small bits here. Yeah, cool.
yeah, and we have Jared Harris and Tony Collette are in here. Nick Frost, Tracy Morgan, Simon Pegg as the dad Trubshaw, which he's fun. He gets to do the little insane performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Richard Ayoade is one of the
Yeah, Richard
villains.
Iowata, I think is
Oh,
how it's pronounced. I don't
okay.
know.
I don't know.
I just saw he was in the new Wes Anderson, so which I just watched
Ah,
yesterday.
there's a
Small
new
role.
Wes Anderson.
Yeah, that's why we couldn't record yesterday because I was
What
Wes Andersoning it up.
is that? A
The
new movie that
Phoenician
just came out?
Scheme. Yeah, came out yesterday.
Oh, like in theaters?
Benicio del Toro,
How
Michael
did I not
Cera,
know about this?
Tom Hanks, Riz
You usually
Ahmed.
tell me about new Wes Anderson stuff. Why didn't you tell me? Okay.
I thought I said we couldn't do record on yesterday because I was seeing the new Wes Anderson.
You did
I
not
just
tell me
assumed you
that.
were away.
You did not tell me that. You just said, "Oh, we'll either do like Thursday or Friday," and you never specified why. Okay.
Sorry, I thought I had said that, and I thought you would be aware.
Okay.
Otherwise, anyway, John, there's a new Wes Anderson movie. It's out right now.
Okay. I'll check it out 2 years from now when it's on streaming. Cool.
I mean, it'll be on Peacock soon.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have time to get into my thoughts on the Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah.
This is not the. Oh, yeah. I gave the voice acting a 4 out of 5. I thought
Yeah.
everyone was fun.
I give it a 3.5. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Last up, we have the music/sound.
Music.
There's there's a couple of original songs. We have the Boxtrolls song, which is actually written by Eric Idle. Speaking of Monty Python,
Mm-hmm.
performed by Sean Patrick Doyle, Mark Orton, and Loch Lomond. I thought it was a really fun little song. This is the song that Madame Frou Frou sings about the Boxtrolls. Sort of the
I don't.
propaganda song.
Yeah. Yeah, that song. Yeah.
I thought it was fun. Then I
Mhm.
also wanted to shout out the end credits, the song Little Boxes, which is written by Malvina Reynolds and performed by Loch Lomond. I really like the style of it. It feels very like Pacific Northwest indie song to me,
Mhm.
like very fitting in with that Laika style. Because this movie, like, to me as someone who is not British, the stylings of it feel very British because it's taking place in this British setting and like the Dickensian Victorian town.
Yeah, like I said, I did feel like some influence from Aardman in this.
Yeah. So yeah, getting this like little bit of Pacific Northwest, little hint of that was nice. And yeah, overall, I thought the music was good. Did you have any thoughts on
It
music?
didn't really stand out to me as much as like Paranorman or Coraline, so I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. I think. Yeah, I gave the music a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed it.
I gave it a 3.3 out of 5, which leaves me of a total score of 17.8, which is a 71.2% or a 3.56 5-star rating.
Yeah, and I have a 20.5 out of 25, which is an 82% or a 4.1 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I am a little bit disappointed having really liked this the first time I watched it and coming back and not being as enthusiastic about it. But I still really enjoyed it. Thought it was
Sure,
fun. Had a lot of enjoyable elements.
sure, yeah. I don't have anything deep to say about it, so yeah. Well, with that, thank you everyone for listening, and make sure to follow us on social media. We're Binging Barbie Podcast on Instagram and Tumblr, Binging Barbie on Blue Sky and Serialized, and Binging Barbie at Barbie Movie Podcast on Letterboxd. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a 5-star review and go join our Patreon at patreon.com/Binging Barbie Podcast. We will be back next week to talk about Kubo under 2 strings. And until then, say bye-bye to your brie, cheerio to your cheddar, and goodbye to your gouda. Yeah.
Bye, Brie. Cheerio, Cheddar.
Cheerio.
Goodbye, Gouda.
Bye-bye.
Cheese, 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 cheese.
Cheese.